I want to focus again on the issue of education. Our education system needs to start producing creators, innovators, inventors, and business-minded graduates. We can't continue to produce job seekers in this economy because the technology has changed the very life we are heading. African children are conditioned into being consumers and not producers. But where should we start? As Ramsa, this is the place we start in order if we want to change or improve anything that going to develop this nation. I want us to go through history first. Why are we here and what happened before in the olden days? Let's go back to the Native Land Act of 1913. It reserves approximately 87% of South African land for whites only during apartheid government. And then fast forward 1994, yes. There was a land audit after the new constitution was implemented in 1996, which is it was just an amendment where they added some laws, some clause there, which I'm not going to entertain them for now, but I want us to focus on the issue of land. So 1996, the constitution was completed and then passed and then became the noble document that today we're supposed to be governing by it, but it's the other way around. All right. So the following year there was a land audit, and then there was a recent one. As time progresses, I'm going to go to the last year, 2020 land audit, where we found that the land shows that 14% is state-owned. That means 14% is owned by the government, because state is a different thing. The government of ANC is the one that owns 14%. So they said it's a state-owned. All right, let us not go into discussion about that. And then 79% of the land is in private hands. Maybe let me put it this way. Farmland in South Africa is 100 million hectares. Farmland, talking about farmland only, 100 million hectares, which is owned by white commercial agricultural farmers. They own that 82, let me put it this way, white-owned commercial agricultural land is 82 million hectares. That means out of 100 million, the white farmers own 82 million hectares of that land. And the government of the day, on their land reform target, they were looking at taking back 30% of the 82 million hectares. We're looking at 24.5 million hectares, which was supposed to be distributed to the people. And then when we look at the total amount of hectares in this country, South Africa has 122 million hectares. The entire country is 122 million hectares. Then we have 7% of Karoo and uncounted ones. That is 7%. So most of the land was taken from the kings, the landlords. Our kingdom was stripped of the lands because, remember, the land belongs to the kings, including its subjects, like the people. Those were the systems we had in this country before the settlers arrived and then stripped the land out of our hands and stripped the land out of the king's land. So I'm telling you this because I want you to understand the importance of the land. That's why international imperialists such as America, Britain, Portuguese, Germany, France, and other European imperialists, they said in 1884 and 1885 that they want to share Africa amongst themselves. It was all about taking the territory. It was all about the land. That's why even today, they are not even returning that land. They are not even prepared to return the land. So they are challenging us that, look, just like what Groenewald has said, Peter Groenewald has said the other year, on the 6th Parliament. He said, if you want the land, we are dreaming, and then if we continue to push for it, that means we are asking for civil war. He's saying this because he knows he has a backing of America, backing of Europe, NATO, in short. So most of these politicians, they don't have answers for that. So as I deliberate on the issue, Ramsa Black Agenda, we are consistent on eye-opening and showing you our reality. Until we take back the land, we won't be having too much problems that we're having today. Because everything starts with the land. And then we are being given a lot of things that they are not even important, such as religion. You see. So religion is part of their weapon that they are using against us, including this indoctrination called education. So there is no way we can thrive or succeed as long as we're still using the master's tools to dismantle the master's house. We need to have our own tools so that we can be able to dismantle anything that is on our path, distracting our reality or distracting our success. I'm focusing solely on South Africa because we're becoming the strategic important location of the West. Because without South Africa, the West doesn't have access into Africa. So just because now we are captured and conquered, it's easy for them to control, to do whatever they want to do. Even if you check their US foreign policy towards other countries, they want to dominate, they want to control, they want to rule. They're using their proxies, their puppets, just like the current GNU government. It's the government, the government of puppets. You see, you cannot succeed as long as we allow these minions to mislead us. We can speak as much as we like until we sit down and then decide and take a conscious decision that we want to take our country through revolution, and then put the right people who will do the right thing for the nation, just like what Sahel regions are doing, like Burkina Faso. Look at Burkina Faso, look at Niger, look at Mali, and you'll understand and realize that those leaders there, they took a conscious decision, and with the backing of their nation, they are succeeding. It's not a rocket science. Because politics of deception in this country won't take us anywhere. Instead, we will continue to suffer and struggle. And that struggle and suffering, we're going to pass it through to our children. So we don't want to continue the cycle of poverty to our children. They must enjoy the fruit of their country. They must enjoy their own country. So that is up to this generation, because this is the last generation. The other one will do the same, fail, submit, become part of the problem. Because if we do not change our reality now, the whole nation will sink. So we need to stand up and become the reasonable human beings who want to see their children and their nation thriving. Because remember, white people don't respect black people. They are not afraid of us. They know what to do, how to manipulate us. They know what to do to manipulate and control us. Because we are still slaves in the plantation in their eyes, while we behave exactly as they expected us to behave, childish. So we need to move away from that. So we need to move away from being children in adult body. So it's either we stand up and fight, or we perish like cowards, like chickens or sheep. Flock of sheep going to slaughterhouse. It's our call. As Ramsa we say, it's either we stand up or we fall for everything. And falling for everything, that means it's not only us who are going to fall. We're taking the entire generation along with us. We're taking the other generation again along with us. That means you are destroying 3 generations. Because the most dangerous African today is the mentally colonized black. No matter how much you try to explain that our chains are the same and we must escape the colonized coon, will tell you, at least we have food to eat. I don't know, feeding your stomach is the only thing you can think of. Because stuffing your face is not the only thing that a human being should live doing. So we need to understand that we have other black people who are being entrusted with the responsibility of misleading and distracting his fellow black people for money and fame. Their behavior shouldn't be acceptable, because they look like us, but we must hate what they are doing to us, because they are using us to gain opulences from the enemy. So we cannot have that in our conscience. So youth must stand up. Because in terms of the nation with the bleak future is when youth of that nation indulge in alcohol throughout the weekend, sometimes during the week, invest their time in entertainment lifestyle no sense of self-development and innovative ideas, depending wholeheartedly to the government for everything, allowing abuse of their nation with impunity, creating comfortable conditions in the hardship conditions. So as Black Agenda, we say, can never allow that to continue. Youth must stand up. Youth must start thinking about how do we get out of this fake independence which we got in 1994. So 1994 frozen us. That's why even today we are still struggling to understand why the situation is like this, because we thought the government of that day, of that time, was actually fighting for us, for our liberation, but they were fighting for their pockets. They were fighting to line their pockets in our expense. So, to survive in the nation of sheep, ruled by wolves, owned by pigs, we must become a lion pride to instill order and control. We become the strongest vision of the nation. That's what we're supposed to be. I'm talking to you, young people. For us to succeed, we need your energy. As adults, we need your energy. And without your energy, and without our wisdom, we can never strive or succeed. It takes both young and old to succeed in the revolution. You can subscribe, we can discuss this on our comment section, and then bring out ideas, bring out support, and see how does this whole thing take us. So I'm talking to you, the youth of this country. We need to stop this mentality of being parrots. We must be like eagles. We take an aim, strategize, we attack the enemy, we conquer. Then the nation is saved. Then the history will tell you that as South Africa, aka Azania, or Azania, aka South Africa, God is really independent because of the effort of both the youth and the wisdom of the adults, because of the energy of the youth and the wisdom of the adults. They came together without thinking a lot of stuff. Only thing in their head was how to get our country back, how to establish our country, because currently this is not even a country, because you don't have a name. So the name which was suggested according to our forefather Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe, South Africa was named Tanzania, in order to ensure that that name is known and is realized. We need to fight for it. We need to fight and stand up and make sure that the spirit of Bantu Biko, the spirit of Chris Hani, the spirit of Mama Winnie Mandela, and the spirit of those who fought the real struggle, not these fake ones of Freedom Charter. We need to ensure that, and the kings, not forgetting our kings and king mothers who were killed during the resistance when they were fighting for the land. We don't betray their spirit. We need to rise. We need to ensure that their spirit has risen within us. They are fighting alongside us until this country rises right back into the rightful owners. Azania will rise, South Africa will fall.